Hello and welcome to this video tutorial. My name is Ryan Buck, and in this tutorial we will be covering the Design Staff Hour Form Sheet 6A Drainage Analysis. As you can see, it's updated into a new format from the old one. This update was made in September of 2023. It looks very similar. At the beginning you would have places for your name, the consultant name, and there's this sign-off area up here as well. On the right is some instructions on how to use this form. Here's a link to all the video tutorials for each individual staff hour sheet for the new versions, as well as some instructions on how to use the form, which we will go over in this tutorial. At the bottom on the right is my contact information if you ever need to reach me. Find errors in the sheet, have questions, please feel free to reach out. And with that, we'll get started on going over 6A task by task, and also cover how to use the spreadsheet in the new version. So we'll start out going with 6A1, the base clearance analysis. As you can see, the hydrology mapping has been removed, and the hydrology mapping, the hydrology analysis now exists in the design files, and that's in the guidelines that are written in the guideline sheet. So with the base clearance analysis, we have locations, and so the way the sheet works is you would enter in your project parameters, your units, so for example, number of locations for base clearance analysis, and a report, as well as the complexity. And the complexity would be each task complexity. They go in simple, standard, or complex. And so let's do a couple and you'll kind of see how it works. So in this case, we'll just say we have 2 locations, and we'll say that we have a standard complexity, which means I got cross drains or floodplains. Right there's the definition. You can also refer to the guidelines, and they have these definitions in there as well. And as you can see, it looks like the standard, it's 8 hours per location. So this gives you this calculated form of 8 hours per location to do a base clearance analysis at the standard complexity. Now, these are from, this calculated value is from the established guidelines. Then it is up to the department staff who's doing the negotiation and the consultant staff doing the negotiation to determine if 16 hours is adequate for that specific project, or if they need to add more hours or decrease the 16 hours. And then you would have your final negotiated. And then you've got your documentation column over here to provide any documentation needed about project specifics and how you ended up with the negotiated hours. All right, so we'll keep moving along. Is a report required? We'll say yes. So 1 is a yes and 0 is a no. It won't let you enter in any other numbers. So we'll just say we have a report here. And again, in this case, we've got a simple being a technical memo for the report versus a complex being a full-length report with many locations, full reconstruction of the roadway, or a new alignment. So we'll say we're in the middle, that we just have a standard report. We'll stick with standard for that one, and it's in the middle 24 hours. And again, we'll go on and agree with those, so just carry them over to the negotiate column, or if we differ, we can have a negotiation about it and what that project needs as far as effort and hours. All right, moving on, 6A2, the hydroplaning analysis. As you can see in 6A, some of the tasks have been rearranged, and so you might have a new location for a task, so that's why I'm going over here. So the hydroplaning analysis is now 6A2. It's a lump sum, and you just, is it required, yes or no? So if you put yes, it is, then you would pick your task complexity, simple, standard, complex. We'll just go with simple. Again, these drop downs are for you. You can read the definitions and select, and it'll start you with an initial estimate, and then that's just a starting point, and then you'll need to analyze if that is adequate for the job, too much, or too little. 6A3, existing permit analysis, same thing, yes or no. I'll just show you, enter a 0, 1 or 0 there. So all the red is for you to input. Any of the black font is locked, or it's either text or a calculation or formula. And I'm just going to kind of fill these out. Utility conflict matrix is a new task that they added into 6A, drainage. This is for the drainage structures. So is a utility conflict matrix for drainage structures required, yes or no? Again, you can see that if you click on the cell, a pop-up box will come up, and it should have some definitions to help you fill out these project parameters for your project and get an initial starting point, and then you can go through and agree or adjust the calculated recommended hours based on the guidelines. 6A5, the noise barrier drainage analysis. This, you can see there's decimal points. So anytime you see multiple decimal points, the unit's going to be either length or area. In this case, it's length. So it's wall length, estimated total length of proposed noise wall in miles. So let's just say we have a 1.25 mile wall, right? And then we have our complexities. You can read your complexity and see what you think it is, if it's a simple, standard, or complex. I'm just going to pick one for this tutorial video. It recommends 10 hours. 6A6, temporary drainage analysis. This is just, is it required, yes or no? Again, if you don't have any temporary drainage, you would leave it at 0 and it would be 0 hours. But if you did, you could put the 1 there and you could pick the complexity. So 3R, bridge widening, so on and so forth. 6A7, pond siting analysis and report. This one is basins. So the number of basins based on 3 ponds per basin. And this is straight out of the guidelines, the established guidelines. So we'll just say we have 1. And again, you pick if it's simple, standard, complex based on the right-of-way is less than 50% developed versus the right-of-way is 80 to 100% developed. If you pick complex, that's what comes up. And then also, is a report required? Yes or no. If it's not, leave it at 0. If it is, you'd put there and select the complexity. And I'm trying to select this stuff just as an example for this tutorial, get you a feel for how it works. 6A8, the analysis of a pipe video inspection report. So, and this is the analysis of a pipe video inspection report. Is it required? Yes or no? 1 or 0, 1 being yes, 0 being no. Then you got a short length of pipe with a simple inspection report. All right, now we're down to our bridge hydraulic report. And so this is similar, all it's broken down into multiple parts. So first of all, you've got a bridge hydraulic report for a canal crossing or PED bridge. So in this case, you would have the number of bridges and the complexity. Simple being no, alternatives, 2 alternatives, multiple alternatives. So let's just say we have 1 bridge, channel crossing, simple. All right, then you got your bridge hydraulic report for your main bridge that's non-tidal, or you've got a BHR right here for a main bridge that's tidal. And then you've got a bridge without relief right here, so 1 bridge per channel. And this would be bridges with relief, and you'd select your complexity as well. Then you've got no rise right here, so number of bridges requiring a FEMA no rise. Let's just say we have 1. Same thing for the tidal, so non-tidal and tidal, right? And then you've got a wave modeling line item in this as well, and this is number of bridges requiring a wave calculation and modeling. And you've got your explanation there to select your complexity. It's going to recommend hours. Again, if you have any questions, you can always reference the established guidelines in the separate spreadsheet on the Scope and Staff Hours website. 6A10 is cross drains. So you've got design of minor cross drains and you've got design of major cross drains. So let's just say we're doing minor cross drains on the project. Now you could have multiple simple, and you need to read the definitions, but you can see there's 3 line items: a simple, a standard, or complex. So if you have, let's just say for this example, we read through what is a simple. So number of simple minor cross drains are culverts extended a small amount to meet clear zone requirements, where Q is. So let's say we have 2 of those on the project. Let's see what standard we got. Our standard, and then we got complex, which is identically replace culverts due to structural problems. Let's just say we have 2 of those on this project. So you might have 2 simple and 2 complex minor cross drains. We don't have any standard ones, and it's going to recommend ours. And let's just say we don't have any major cross drains, we'd leave it there. But if you did, again, same thing. Here's the definition. You fill out the number that you have on the project, and the calculated column will recommend a suggested number of hours to get you in the ballpark as a starting point to get you started with the negotiations for that project. 6A11 is design of ditches and side drains. So you can see that the unit has decimal points, so it's looking for length of simple ditches in miles, or you could have standard ditches in miles, or you could have complex ditches in miles. And you have to read the definition of what is simple and what is complex. Let's just say we have a half a mile of simple and a quarter mile of standard, right? And you can enter in multiple 2.25 if you want. It'll round up, but it's still going to calculate 2.25 in the length right here for 5. And these will round up to the nearest whole number as well. So 5 hours, it wouldn't be, 4 3/4 hours. It'll round up to 5 in the estimate. All right, and then you got side drains. So number of side drains to be modeled in 3D. Let's say we have 2. There's no complexity for this one, right? So it's just 2 hours per side drain. All right. That's what the guidelines say. So if you did have, if you wanted to use 3 hours per side drain, you're more than welcome to. So that would be 6 hours. You could document over here in the documentation 3 hours per side drain recommended. 6A12, design of stormwater management facilities. So this is the number of ponds. Again, same thing, simple pond, standard pond, or complex pond. You would just put the number. And then you also have your number of cells, right? And then you have your, so let's just say we have 2 simple ponds and 1 complex pond. And then let's say we have 4 cells. They're all single. All right. 6A13, design of floodplain compensation. So this is your number of basins. And then you would have your complexity. All right. 6A14, design of storm drains. You have your drainage structures. So this is number of drainage structures. Let's say we have 60 drainage structures. And they're all pretty suburban minimal. We'll go with simple. And this is your non-standard drainage structures to be modeled in 3D. So this is anything that's not in the program that needs to be individually modeled, and it'll give you more hours. So tab 36 went away, so there's no modeling in tab 36. Any modeling should be accounted for in this tab 6A in the design. Let's just say we have 4, and we'll get some hours for the non-standard drainage structures. 6A15, optional culvert material. This is based on the number of drainage pipes. Again, I don't have a project, I'm just filling out this just so you can see how it works. 6A16, design of trench drains. So number of trench drains. And then we'll select the complexity for the trench drain design. Design of French drain systems. This is based on the number of cells. Let's just say they're complex. And then evaluation of existing trench drains. Let's just say that group 1, and it includes stormwater model. All right. 6A18 is design of drainage wells. So the number of wells, low capacity. 6A19 is the new stormwater runoff control concept, and this is based on length. So this replaced the erosion control concept, so it's now called the stormwater runoff control concept. And it'll be length in miles, erosion control items in tabular form. And let's just say we have a complex. So here we go. 6A20 is any other drainage tasks that are not included in the guidelines, don't have any recommended hours. They would be negotiated on a case-by-case basis. There's no units or complexity to input because we don't know what you're negotiating. But in the calculated tab, it is red, so you can enter in the number of hours. And you could say what the 40 hours is for over in the documentation column. 6A21, drainage design documentation report. So is it required? This is a yes or no. And then you have basically the complexity of the report. And then if there's any estimated number of major exhibits, such as drainage, delineation, hydrology, and other special exhibits required for the report, you could enter those. And that's for that drainage design documentation report. 6A22, drainage quantities for EQ report. So is the EQ report required? And then we would select a complexity for the EQ report based on the quantities. 6A23 is cost estimate. So this is estimated number of engineering estimates submittals. Say 4. Again, it'll tell you, ask you for the project types of resurfacing or curved roadways less than a mile. You select the one that best fits your project. And then you had LRE updates as well. So estimated number of LRE updates. Same thing, you would pick the complexity. 6A24 is the technical or modified special provisions, TSPs, MSPs. You can enter the number, there's no complexity associated with that. Recommends 6 per. And again, you can either agree with the 12 hours or negotiate up and down from there. Now we'll get into the non-technical subtotal, which 6A25 is QAQC, 6A26 is supervision. These automatically start at 1, they're on. If you, for some reason, don't need to use them, you could put it at 0. It'll automatically give you 5% calculation, and it'll calculate 5% in all of these cells right here. If for some reason you do not want to use 5%, say you want to use 3 or 7, I would document what percentage you would use over here. You need to do a hand calculation, and you can enter it in where this red font is right here in the negotiated column. For meetings, you use this meetings table down below. It's black font, so you don't input anything up here in the meetings. You enter in your meetings down here. So let's say we have 1 agency meeting, utility coordination meeting. And as you can see, it'll populate the number of meetings, and those number of meetings will go over here. Per the guidelines, it recommends 2 hours per meeting. Again, that is very general or generic, so maybe you have an 8-hour meeting and you probably need to factor that in, or maybe you have a half-hour meeting, but the 2 hours is a starting point, just as a suggestion to calculate your number of meetings. There's also a column down here in the table for travel time. If you need a in-person meeting and you have to travel to the meeting, you can fill that out here if you're not having a virtual meeting, and that'll calculate the hours for travel, and it will come up in this cell right here under 6A27 travel time. And then any number of PM meetings would go right here, and that carries over to the PMs required. That carries over to tab 3, and then you can document any other information you need. The next one, 6A28, is field reviews, and that actually has a new table down here where you can estimate your field reviews. So you can do number of staff that need to go on the field review, site time per staff. Let's just say they spend 2 hours, so that's 2 times 2 is 4, and then travel time for staff. Let's just say it takes 1 hour to get to the site and back for the field review, so that's 6 hours right there, and that 6 hours will carry up into this cell G64. Coordination works the same way as QA, QC, and supervision. It'll calculate 3%. If you don't want to use 3%, again, you can change it here. It'll all sum up in total in the negotiation tab, and this negotiation tab will carry over to the summary sheet. Thank you for watching this tutorial. Again, if you have any questions, my name's Ryan Buck. Here's my contact information. Feel free to reach out. Thanks for watching.